like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing His truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And as always, I would like to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. This video is going to be about do not get caught without your garment. I'm going to say it again. Do not get caught without your garment. And first and foremost, I say this to myself. I speak this to myself and then to the brethren. Because we must teach ourselves, we must warn ourselves, we must tell ourselves before we tell others. Okay. And what does it mean to get caught without your garment? Well, let's go to the book of Revelation real quick. Okay. Let me see. Is that Revelation 21 or is it 20? Let's see. Well, let's type this in. It'd be easier if I find it this way. Okay. Okay, so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Now, being naked in the Holy Scriptures has always been associated with living a life of sin or walking in wickedness. Okay. To walk naked, according to the Holy Scriptures, basically means to be found doing drugs, selling drugs, okay, committing adultery, getting tattoos, smoking, getting lineups, okay, growing dreads, worshiping idols, taking on the covering of another nation, calling yourself a Muslim, a Hindu, a Buddhist, you calling yourself a Christian. All these are examples of walking naked according to the Scriptures. You know, you're eating unclean foods. You're eating pork. You're eating things in the oceans that do not have fins or scales. You're eating animals that have paws. You know, you're a man, but you're shaving off your whole beard. You're walking around with a smooth face. These are all examples of walking naked. You know, you're being a mole. But not even that, you know, going to house parties, going to clubs, you know, going to like large gatherings like concerts, you know, amusement parks, theme parks, where Esau can easily unleash T attacks at. You see what I mean? You know, having sex on the Sabbath, having sex with animals, being a pedo, committing incest. These are all examples of walking naked according to the Holy Scriptures. You know, even your doctrine, what you teach can can be an example of you walking naked. You know, you got guys out there teaching that Esau can make it, the other nations can make it. You got guys breaking down the mark of the beast wrong. You got guys in the spirit of debating, asking questions, coming up against the doctrine, questioning the doctrine. You know, you got guys denying, you got Israelites denying that they are Israelites. These are all examples of walking naked. You know, making baldness upon your head, wearing a hat while prophesying. So, you see, you don't want to be found not having a garment when Yahawashi returns. Okay. Put on like beautiful. Now let's type this in. So what does it mean to keep your garment? To keep your garment, which we know only the elect is going to, we know that only the elect is going to keep their garment, but the garment is this truth, okay? The garment is a dark saying for this truth. It is a metaphor for this truth, okay? When you keep your garment, you're continuing in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, you know? You're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, which you can keep to the best of your ability. You're being brotherly. You're going out on the highways and hedges. You're prophesying. And you're doing the things that are pleasing to the Lord. You're keeping the Sabbath correctly. You're keeping the high holy days. Okay, you know, you're feeding the Lord's sheep. You're praying for brothers. All these are examples of keeping your garment. So just real quick, let me see. Let's type this in. That beautiful garment. Let's type this in. Almost. Oh my God. Shred a garment. Okay, let me see. I'm just going to keep searching. Oh, you know what? I know what I should have did. Salakia. Let's type this in. Really? Because it might be in the Apocrypha, but it may not pop up like that in the Apocrypha. There's a precept I wanted to get where it says, "Arise, arise, Jerusalem, put on thy beautiful garment." You know, and the beautiful garment is this truth. Okay, it's putting on the ways of Yahawashi. And a matter of fact, I have an idea. Let's go to Ephesians. Since Ephesians, let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse, okay, because the beautiful garment goes under other names in the Holy Scriptures too, such as Yahawashi and the armor of God, which the armor of God is Yahawashi, okay? Now remember Apostle Kabar, which he did a beautiful breakdown on the word child, which a son, okay? A son act as a shield to his parents. So a child is like a shield, and armor itself is likened unto a shield. Now we know that Yahawashai is the child, the son of the Most High. So you see that? So if Yahawashai is the son of the Most High, what does that make Yahawashai? That makes Yahawashai the armor of Yahweh. Now, I'm not saying that the Most High needs armor. But what I'm saying is that the armor of Yahweh is Yahawashai. Yahawashai, who is the son of the Most High. Okay, so the armor of God or the armor of the Most High is Yahawashai. So Ephesians 6:10, right? Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, which is all equated to keeping your garment. Being strong in the Lord. Being strong in the Lord means not becoming faint-hearted, you know, not getting weak-minded when you go through adversity. Because it tells you in the book of Hebrews, the 12th chapter, that no chastisement seems to be pleasant at the moment, but it yieldeth the peaceable fruit unto roughly paraphrasing it. I'm not going to butcher it, but you know, no chastisement seems to be pleasant at the moment. You see. So you know you're enduring. What's the word I'm looking for? You're enduring tribulation. Okay. Verse 11, Ephesians 6:11. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So putting on the whole armor of Yahweh means putting on thy beautiful garment. Okay. Okay, arise, O Jerusalem, put on thy beautiful garment. Now, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Jerusalem is talking about the Israelites, which are the Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. And we're committed to put on the beautiful garment. What does it mean to put on the beautiful garment? This truth. Because Yahawashai is the truth. Yahawashai is the 100% truth of the Holy Scriptures. Okay? And like Yahawashai said, lo, he come in the volume of the book, it is written of him. So Yahawashai is the 100% truth of the Holy Scriptures. So putting on Yahawashai means doing what the Lord commands you, what the Lord commands me. Okay? So if the Lord commanded you not to eat pork and you repent from eating pork, well, that's an example of you putting on Yahawashai. The Lord told you not to commit adultery. The Lord told you not to steal. If you don't steal, if you don't commit adultery, that's an example of you putting on Yahawashai. Okay? You know? Okay, the Lord told you to buy the truth and sell it not. So if you're learning the truth, you're getting the knowledge, and you know the fruits of the knowledge of the Holy Scriptures, but you're not profiting from it. You know, meaning like you're not making monetary gain off of it. Then that's an example of putting on Yahawashai. You're teaching the doctrine the correct way. You're teaching the doctrine the correct way. That's an example of you putting on Yahawashai. Okay? You know? Now I'm talking about you teaching the 100% unadulterated truth. That's an example of you putting on Yahawashai. That's an example of you walking in the truth. Walking in the truth is the same as putting on the beautiful garment, which the beautiful garment is Yahawashai. Okay? You see? Verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, and against powers, which principalities is another name for demons, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. And the Lord has told us everything that we need to do. Us being the hopeful elect, the Lord told us everything that we need to do to be pleasing in His sight. To do the things that are pleasing in His sight. The Lord told us to keep the Sabbath according to the new moon. That's put on Yahushua when you keep the Sabbath according to the new moon. Okay? The Lord told you to go out on the highways and hedges and warn His people. By you going out on the highways and hedges and warning His people, you're putting on Yahushua. You're putting on that whole armor. Okay? So wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So again, there's one more precept I would like to get. Let's type in garment again. Yes, garment. And we're going to scroll all the way down to the New Testament. Okay, let's see. Here we go, Matthew 22. Okay, so check this out. So Yahushua right here was given a parable to His disciples on a wedding, which ultimately is going to be the marriage of the Lamb. You see, now when Yahushua come back, you want to be found to have your wedding garment, which is that beautiful garment, which is that armor of Yahweh, which is this truth. So Matthew 22 verse 1, and Yahushua answered and spake unto them by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. And again he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready, come unto the marriage. And we're doing that by going out on the highways and hedges, teaching, by doing sit downs, by doing shorts, like short videos, uploading edifying images, going into the news, warning the sheep of false prophets and things happening in the news. You see? And ultimately, we're making ourselves ready by learning how to please the Lord, so that when the Lord come back, we can be found to be faithful and pleasing in the sight of the Lord. Because we don't want to be destroyed here in America, But they made light of it. It's talking about these niggas who come into the truth, and they see it as a chance to make money. They take their hand off the plow, and they think there's not going to be a punishment for it. And you look at Alizé, and there's your perfect example. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. All right, so let's read verse 6. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burnt their city. Then saith he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Right, and that's talking about the guys who come into the truth and then they fall right out because they did not see this truth. In other words, they ultimately they didn't have faith. You know, their vision was short-sighted. You know, see, we here at Great Millstone, we see past this world. We see past this so-called American dream. We know there's a kingdom coming, a kingdom so beautiful that words you can't explain it. You know, we see Yahweh Shai returning and a gigantic so-called UFO. You know, humongous. We see these things. You know. Men running around with spiritual power, flying, shooting lightning, teleporting, diving into the ground, you know, coming back up from out of the ground like the ground is water, doing all that stuff, man. We see these things. But the guys who came into this truth, they ultimately did not believe that these things would happen, you know. So they were bidden. Right? Many are called, but few are chosen. We are called, but we hope to be chosen. We hope to be of the elect. That's why we call ourselves the hopeful elect, right? Because if you hope to be of the elect, you're gonna continue in the things which thou hast learned. You're gonna keep your garment. You know, you're not gonna take your garment off and then go back in the world and walk naked like all of these other nakeds who came in the truth. You know. How they came in here and then they took their garment off and went back to walking naked in the world. And not only are they walking naked, they're sleepwalking naked because they're asleep. And the next time they wake up, Yahweh Shai is going to be well, that's if they wake up. They might perish in their sleep during Jacob's trouble, but if they are asleep when Yahweh Shai returns, they gonna wake up to a rude awakening because Yahweh Shai is not going to come back to deliver them, like it says in Luke the 12th chapter. Okay, the Lord of that servant will come at a time when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is unaware, and will cut him in sunder and put it set him his portion with the unbelievers. So, verse 9, go ye therefore to the highways and hedges, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage, which are all Israelites. Only Israelites are going to wake up to this truth. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not a wedding garment. Now that wedding garment is that beautiful garment. So you know, having the beautiful garment starts with having faith and believing in the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. So if you're at the wedding, but you don't have a wedding garment, it means you don't believe. You're just sitting there faking the funk. Okay? So you know, because see, in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, it speaks about how the Most High is going to visit the world which he made. In 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, right? And how's the Lord going to visit the world which he made? He's going to visit the world through Jacob's trouble. So if you don't have your beautiful garment, if you don't have the armor of Yahweh, if you don't have your wedding garment, the Lord is not going to defend you. He going to look at you like, friend, how camest thou in here not having a wedding garment? And guess what? You're going to be speechless. Because those who felt the wedding garment is going to be calling on Yeshua. They're going to be calling on Yahweh. They're going to be calling on Jesus. They're going to be calling on God. You're going to have people calling on Yehudi, Yehoshua. And even if you're going to have some guys who actually do know the names. But guess what? They turned their back on Yahushua. They took their hands off the plow. They became demons. They became scoffers. They offended the men of the Lord. And we know what it says about what happens to those that offends one of the little ones in Matthew's the 18th chapter, right? It had been better that a millstone were hanged about their neck and they were cast into the depths of the sea. In other words, it had been better if they deleted themselves, because when Jacob's trouble begins, it's going to be a horrible experience for all those who fell out the truth, especially those who fell out the truth. They became demons. They started twisting the doctrine, teaching the doctrine incorrectly, you know. They started coming with wayward teachings. They started scoffing and becoming demons. They came on the comment boards, you know, leaving inappropriate comments, you know, cussing brothers out, saying this, saying that, you know. And you even had some guys who went as far as calling brothers jobs and having them fired. So you know they ain't. You know, the brothers who got brothers fired from their jobs, brothers who lost wonderful jobs, who was getting paid good money, you know, all you demons who caused brothers to lose their jobs, all you niggas who fell out the truth and you did those things. The Lord's got something special for you, man. The Lord will put you in a scenario like those victims from them Saw movies, okay? You're gonna be in those scenarios like in those Saw movies, okay? The Lord's gonna put you in scenarios like that, okay? Because you knew your master's will and you prepared not yourself. So, and when the king came in to see the guests, the king is getting ready to come in to see the guests. Okay? In other words, the Lord is getting ready to visit the world. Well, the Lord is already visiting the world which he made. Okay? And right now, the king, which is Yahushua, okay? Jacob's trouble had already begun. Okay? We're in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble, and the king is coming in to see the guests. He wanted to see who's doing that which is right in his eyes, and he's seeing who's doing that which is not right in his eyes, and he see those that are doing the things which are not right in his eyes, and guess what? He's looking at them like, where's your wedding garment? How camest thou in here not having a wedding garment? So right now, the Lord's elect, we don't know who the Lord's elect is, but we hope to be of the elect, right? So the Lord's elect is being separated from the non-elect. Okay? And that's what Matthew 22:11 is going into. Because the Lord is visiting the high, like it says in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, right? The highest is visiting the world which he made. So the king is coming in to see the guests because he's visiting the world which he made. And he's seeing who has a wedding garment and who don't. And when the king came in to see the guests, you know, he's visiting the world which he made through biblical prophecy, martial law, wars, rumors of wars, famine, pestilences, okay, you name it. He saw there a man which had not a wedding garment, and he saith unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away and cast him in the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. And the Lord's servants are the angels, because the angels are the ones that are separating the angels are the ones that are separating the spiritual wheat from the spiritual tares. Because the parable of the wheat and the tares is literal, but it's also spiritual. Because the literal wheat and tares will be, you know, you got You got your Israelites, right? But then you got your Edomites that look like Israelites. That's your wheat and tares right there, right? But then you got the spiritual wheat and the spiritual tares, where you got the Israelites that are of the elect, and then you got the spiritual tares, which are, you know, the guys that are in this truth, right? They're feigning themselves to be just men, but they're really agents. They're acting like they're down with the ministry. They're acting like they're down with the brotherhood. But when the time comes, they're gonna turn on brothers. They're gonna have certain brothers turned in, and yeah. So they will be your spiritual tares. So yeah, there are agents in these different camps amongst the Great Millstone, and those are your spiritual tares. So, and you see, the Lord knows their intent. So your intent can also cause you not to have the beautiful garment, because you're intending to turn on brothers, man. Brothers who don't help to take care of you, you know, feed you, give you money when you needed it, when you did not need it. But you're going to turn on brothers? That's because you're a spiritual terror. You're going to turn on brothers and have them turned in to martial law troops. Just to save your own ass and your own family, man. But the Lord will destroy you and your family. You better read the account of Achan in the book of Joshua, okay? When he took that Babylonian garment and some silver and gold, he caused not only him but his whole family to be destroyed, okay? But anyways, you know, we're living in those times where the Lord is literally observing who has the beautiful garment on and who don't. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 16. Okay. Revelation 16 verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. You see, and all of these false Israelite groups are completely unaware as to what's happening between the small hats, Iran, and America. They are unaware that we're literally in World War III. And the Lord is looking down on earth to see who has on their wedding garment, who's making themselves prepared for the marriage of the Lamb. And he's seeing who's not making themselves ready. And these false Israelite groups are not making themselves ready. So when the time comes, they're going to be left behind when that time of the great judgment, the second death comes, which is going to be America becoming that lake of fire via being hit by intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is going to come from Russia, China, North Korea, and other countries. So Revelation 16 verse 15, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. Is on to the next one.